Hey everybody, it's Beth. Welcome to Infinite Garden. This week, I couldn't help but notice some news stories covering mature fashion models on the runway at New York Fashion Week. Specifically, there was quite a lot of coverage paid to a line called Batsheva, which was new to me. Batsheva is a fashion designer. Her line is Batsheva. And for her fall/winter 2024 line, when she showed it this week, she hired only models who were 40 plus. And this made waves. And I want to talk about this. I know we've seen more models who are 40 plus showing up in the high fashion runway space. It's becoming more common to see women of a certain age walking in runway shows. And I think what Batsheva did this time that was different from just including one or two models is that her entire lineup of fashion models was 40 plus. I read a few articles about this. I read articles in the Wall Street Journal. I read an article in the New York Times covering this, one in a blog called Cultured, but fellow YouTube creator Hot Lamode was the one who brought this to my attention first. If you love fashion and you're not already following Hot Lamode, I would recommend that you do. Anytime there's a red carpet event like the Grammys or the Oscars, I always go to Hot Lamode for full red carpet review. I always learn something. It's fantastic. So anyway, in some of these articles, Batsheva says that because she herself is 42, she's starting to experience a sense of separation between her experience with fashion and the youthful orientation of the fashion world. So even though she's in her prime at 42, she still wanted to express an allegiance with a mature woman and show that her fashion works on anybody of any age. Batsheva does rely on vintage clothes for inspiration, and in some cases, some of the designs do feel as though time is collapsing. I felt that specifically when I looked at the images of Molly Ringwald wearing clothes that were clearly inspired by designs from the 80s. You have one of America's 1980s it girls wearing a new fashion designed by somebody calling from the very same clothes that maybe Molly Ringwald might have been wearing in the 80s anyway. It's kind of interesting for me to see that. In a lot of ways, the clothing line has almost no relation to age or older women, which I thought was good. It sort of looks like the clothes are what they are and the models that are wearing them are just women wearing clothes. In short, there seems to be zero connection, and I mean that in the best way, between the intent of the design and the age of the models themselves. It's interesting because the coverage of the show brought this line into my awareness where previously I was not aware of Batsheva, and now she's got me pricing this Hag sweater. I do appreciate the broad range of diversity in this lineup, both in terms of the age of the mature models as well as ethnicity. I also appreciate that older models were used to show dresses that could easily be understood to be bridal wear. I do think the choice to hire mature models was a very shrewd one by Batsheva. I feel like her line maybe got more coverage than it would have otherwise. I know there are other major fashion brands that have opted into having very mature models representing them, most notably 88-year-old Maggie Smith as the face of Loewe, one of the world's most luxurious brands. I love to see Maggie Smith anywhere at any time. And I think overall it makes a lot of sense. Women over 40 exist, and in many cases we also have some degree of financial independence and are able to make our own shopping choices. And I want to tread lightly here, but I also want to talk about, this is a really meaty topic and I won't be able to get into all of it here. Those of us who are in our 40s and beyond, who had established shopping patterns and preferences before the rise of fast fashion, likely remember when clothes at an average price point were of much higher quality. I don't have to think back too far to remember much higher quality fabrics, higher quality fabric construction, and designs that were meant to really last. As someone in my mid-40s now who has a set but ample budget for annual clothing purchases, I am very frequently disappointed by the quality of clothes that are available now. It's not just in the fast fashion line. The effect that fast fashion has had on previously high quality garments is noticeable to me and maybe to some of you as well. I now spend most of my time, attention, and money when shopping for clothes looking for fabrics that are made from natural fibers and that are well constructed. I don't want to support fast fashion. I don't like the impact it's having on the planet or on the people who are mostly women and children who are sewing these garments. And I have found now that almost every brand that I used to rely on now appears to look and feel more like fast fashion than they did when I first fell in love with them. I bring this up partly because some of the fashion lines that are obviously geared toward a younger shopper, I think would miss older buyers in large part because of the quality of the garments at this point. At least I'm just speaking for myself. Will you let me know in the comments if this is ringing true to you, if this resonates with you? I find that even something that might be fashion forward is appealing to me if it were made better or made with natural fibers and not just plastic. I think some of these higher end and luxury brands are right to court the older shopper who might both be able to easily afford the prices of these garments and who have maybe a level of discernment and who might have a quality preference that was formed back when you could go to the mall and buy clothes at an average price point that were of a much, much higher quality than we see today. Again, I'm only speaking for myself, but the quality of a garment is the major motivator for me at this point. Of the different articles that I read covering this particular moment with Batsheva, the Cultured article included some of her rules to live by, and I wanted to share one of them. Batsheva says one of her rules to live by is to never forget the clothing lurking in the back of your closet. That old t-shirt from high school might be ripe for rediscovery, and it feels so good to shop your own closet. I love this rule coming from a fashion designer who's offering new garments to the market. I totally agree. If you are still in possession of some of your very high quality garments in the back of your closet, I totally agree that you should continue to wear them. They were meant to last a lifetime, and if you still have them, go for it. But I also love that we have these young new designers, and I'm calling 42 young, who are interested in pushing the edge of the envelope in terms of design as well as choosing those who represent her designs. Another thing I liked from the Cultured article, which I will link below if you want to read it, she was asked what the most overrated item of clothing is in her opinion, and she and I share this opinion. She said bags. Bags. She says, I'm over it, like put your stuff in a pocket and call it a day. That made me laugh. I'll put a card up to the video I made sharing my bag collection, but I have a very tortured relationship with handbags. I totally agree. If Batsheva is giving us pockets to put our items in, I'm gonna be here for it. So I haven't bought anything from her yet, but she's now on my radar because of her choice in mature models for her fall winter fashion line. And I thought if you hadn't already heard of it, that maybe it would brighten your day to learn of it. So what do you think? Had you already heard about this? Had this made your radar? Are you interested in seeing older models representing high fashion? What do you think? It's kind of cool to see, in my opinion. I really want to hear from you. If you enjoyed this video, please consider giving it a like. If you want to hang out again, please subscribe. I post videos on Sunday. Anyway, I hope that you're all doing well out there, and I hope you have a great week ahead. Thank you so much for watching. Talk soon.